Hey everybody, I'm Laura DiCarlo of Career Directors International, and we're talking all things ultimate success without the stress for entrepreneurs. As you know, our emphasis is on resume writers and career coaches, but a lot of these tips will work for anyone who is a service entrepreneur. I am super excited to be here with you today. Now, you might be tuning in through our Facebook group, our LinkedIn page, or our YouTube channel. If you are on Facebook, let me put up the link going to chat.restream.io/FB. Will give you permission to show your name to me so that I know in the chat who I am talking to. Really important. I love to know who I'm speaking with. Another thing you can do, if I say I can't see your name, like I say, oh, there's a LinkedIn user, sometimes we have glitches with LinkedIn as well, is put your name in the chat when you are commenting. That way I will always know who I am talking to. So this is our regular Wednesday show where I'm empowering entrepreneurs to up their game with advanced technical skills, business shortcuts, and strategies to succeed with ease. And if you don't know me yet, my goal is to become your not-so-secret superpower. At Career Directors International, we provide all the tools, scripts, done-for-you resources, training, certification, and support you need to love and excel at what you do so you can make a difference while earning an exceptional living. Today's topic is, and I'll take that off the screen and put up our topic. So today we are talking about growing your business faster through niche marketing, a topic that I find a lot of entrepreneurs are hesitant about, but can be really valuable. But before we dig into that, let me just ask you to do three things. First off, if you want to make sure you catch my show every week at 3:45 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Second, and let me get the chat up here on the screen so I can see your comments. If you are new to me, drop me a hashtag newbie. And if you are one of my CDI Career Industry Superhero members, part of our community, go ahead and give me a hashtag VIP, my very important people. So I'm watching for those in the chat as we talk. And third, if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat as we go forward. And again, if you want to drop your name each time you do that, so I have some idea who I'm talking to, I would really appreciate it. So again, we're talking about growing a solopreneur business faster through niching your marketing. Okay, let me just take that off of the screen here so it's not distracting. All right, and go back to the chat. So many screens to toggle through. All right, I don't see anything in the chat yet, but remember, say hello to me, give me your name if you're here. So in our quest for what works today in marketing and business positioning, we're now onto the topic of niche marketing. And I've talked about this somewhat within one of our marketing discussions that we had, or we talked about the top 3 ways that career industry businesses were marketing successfully. But I really feel it deserves its own session. And when I did a tip video on it a few years ago and a couple of comments on it, I always get questions about, well, how do I do it? What should I do? So I want to start with why marketing to a niche is easier than general marketing. So very specifically, if you talk to everyone, you'll speak to no one. Now, I'm mixing up, it's been 20 years of personal branding, expertise, and knowledge that's in our industry. So I know I'm going to mix up a little bit of what Susan Garneri, who I used to call the mother of personal branding, because she was an early advocate of it and taught certification and training programs on it in the very beginning to fledgling resume writers and career coaches. But anyway, Susan, and then mixing up my words, so who knows, but she's retired. And she used to use an example, I remember it very specifically, of standing on the side of a highway waving a sign. So if it's a general service that's available everywhere, would it get you to put on the brakes and veer off at the exit if you saw a sign that maybe said, we help you get sales? So if you think that just seeing a generic sign like we help you get sales would make you put on the brakes and pull off at the next exit, let me know in the chat. But I'm guessing pretty much not, because you'd be thinking, what kind of sales for what kind of business? Does that apply to my business? I think you'd keep driving, and maybe you'd think to do a little research later to find someone who speaks to you and your specialty. Like maybe this got on the radar that you need help with sales, but you'd want somebody who speaks to you. So now let's just imagine that you're driving and you see a sign that says, we help service-based entrepreneurs exceed their sales goals and grow businesses 3 times faster. Now, that's still kind of generic, as there's all kinds of service-based entrepreneurs. If you had drilled down to a niche, it would be so much more powerful. For example, let's say, we help resume writers and career coaches to exceed their sales goals and grow their businesses 3 times faster. So you might not slam on the brakes, but you'd be probably writing that company's name down to look up later if you were a career industry service business. Obviously, if you're not, it won't speak to you. But the point is a generic message doesn't speak to you at all. But a targeted message is going to get your audience excited as a unique value offer to them. So for those of us who serve job seekers, you have to remember that there's 1 million plus businesses on LinkedIn saying, I'm a resume writer. Or if we look at interview coach, 1.66 million, I'm an interview coach. So if you're just saying, I write resumes, or I do this, plumber, it doesn't really matter. But if it's generic, it's not necessarily going to let you cut through the noise and have one say, I'm going to click on this person's website, or I'm going to click on this person's profile, or I'm going to answer this person's DM. You've got to cut through all the noise and speak to someone specific. So let me know in the chat if you are focused on a particular niche, or if you haven't targeted one yet, what's a population that you particularly like to work with? Because a lot of times that's where we start. Okay, so before I go any further on the how-to of niching, I need to pause for a second and try to remove any resistance that I know from experience many of you are feeling to the topic of niching. I hear it all the time, but there is a way that you can have your cake and eat it too when it comes to targeting niches, or a niche in particular. So the great thing is that you can keep doing what you're doing as a generalist, but you can also pick a few. And I'd honestly recommend focusing on one niche at a time to nurture and build. So specifically what I mean is, hey, keep doing what you're doing, but let's do some targeted marketing to a specific population as well. So some of the ways you can easily do this are to set up a similar yet different name and URL on your existing website with its own landing page. So you can use, if you have a website, you can use all the same colors and layouts, and don't even need to host 2 web pages or pay for double of anything, because it's literally just another page on the same hosting that whoever designs your website can just set up. You can do different colors. Like for instance, when I had acompetitiveedge.com for A Competitive Edge Career Service, I also owned anexecutiveedge.com, and A Competitive Edge was blue and silver, and An Executive Edge was green and gold. That was a personal choice. Some of the career industry businesses and other businesses I've helped create this distinction for a special niche population have used all the same colors. They've just opted for a different name and landing page. So think about doing that. It's just a great place. It's a landing page you can drive people to. You can create blog posts around and content that makes it stand out when someone might search for a specific niche. If you were listening to the replay or joined me when I talked about certification a few weeks ago, I mentioned that Tammy Shoup was the first person to become a certified resume specialist in hospitality and tourism. That's the first person worldwide Now, if Tammy set up a landing page on her website specifically for hospitality, like maybe I think her business is Breakthrough Resumes. So what if she also purchased breakthroughhospitalityresumes.com, and then she directed traffic to a landing page that was set up to speak directly to that population and had posts directly for that population. She could start to develop that niche a lot easier, because it would provide credibility when somebody maybe reads things she's posting to her target market and goes over to her website. They want to feel special. And yeah, does that mean that if you eventually had 10 favorite niches that you wanted to work with, that you could have 10 different landing pages? Yes, you could. But you might also find that there are complementary populations that make it possible not to have that many. But anyway, that's one of my favorite ways to do it, is to create this exclusive opportunity for your niche population just by having a single page. Another great thing that you can do, because you might be thinking, well, when it comes to social media, I still want to talk to everyone. Don't box me in and make me talk to one population. That's okay. I totally recommend consider starting a LinkedIn newsletter specifically for this niche target population. You can have, I believe you can have up to 5 different newsletters. And I can't remember posting. I mean, there's all different posting speeds you can do, but I think like at the very least, it's once a month that you can talk to that population. Now, can you move the needle a lot with one, specific topic a month? Not necessarily, but if it's part of the actions you're taking, like creating blog pieces and whatnot, which I'm going to talk more about marketing to your niche here in a little bit. But the newsletter is just great because you can get very granular and specific, and you can do a newsletter either on your personal profile or on your business page. So if you don't want to hijack what you're creating on your personal page, if that's been all about talking to a global open population, consider doing it on your business page. And if you're a CDI association member, we actually have, I'm doing a program, a member included webinar. We include all our webinars for members, and we're doing one, I think it's in April or May, specifically on leveraging your business page on LinkedIn, because that's something you really want to do. You might be totally in it for lifetime right now, but at some point you might want to sell your business, and you can't sell a personal profile, but you can include a business page. All right, Janine says, yes, you can have 5 newsletters, but you have to set them up 2 weeks apart. Okay, thank you, Janine, and hi, welcome. I'm glad somebody's here tuning in. All right, whatever you do, if you're in this to say, okay, let me think about picking a niche or some niches, remember, don't overthink it. Just come up with a population that you enjoy. And you can start speaking to them. But I'm going to get to more on the how here in a second. So let me know in the chat if this brought up any thoughts for you, if you might have been formerly resistant to niching and this made you think, okay, I don't have to, it's not all or nothing, right? I can niche and I can still talk to my general population. You can have that safety net, if you will. Okay. Nothing in the chat so far. So let's talk about how to define your niche and your ideal customer avatar. So the easiest path is to pick a population you enjoy working with, or a population you were once a part of. So like if this is a second or third career for you, it can be really easy. You've already got colleagues and contacts in your prior industry. You probably know the professional associations and the different groups that exist. That can be really easy. Of course, if you did not enjoy the industry and you left it for a reason, then that's probably not the niche you want to focus on, because one of the keys to business longevity is loving what you do. So you don't want to wake up and go, oh, not another fill in the blank. I'm not going to exclude any industries here on my personal bias, right? All right, Janine says, I'm niching more now, it's still helping others. Yeah, it's a great practice to cover your bases and have that safety net. And also that opportunity to diversify. I know that can be a big thing to self-employed entrepreneurs wanting to like, oh, I like having all different kinds of clients. And there's nothing wrong with that. But talking specifically to a few specific groups can make life easier. So there are some things you need to decide, you need to think about when you're determining whether you are focusing on a solid niche. So it's a really good idea to do some research because you want to make sure that you're focusing on a large enough population, but also preferably one that isn't already saturated with competition. Example, for career industry professionals, the niche of executives it's a great one. You know, they're clients who want to invest in themselves, are willing to invest in themselves, are knowledgeable about the value. There's something weird happening here. But everybody seems to want to niche to executives first. So it's of niches that exist, it's going to be the most saturated one. So it's going to be one that you're going to have to have the most competition in pursuing. But then there's other niches like IT resumes, difficult career transition resumes, military transition resumes, medical and pharmaceutical resumes. These are very underserved, yet represent a lot, kind of a massive opportunity because of the sheer number of candidates that there are in these populations. So project managers, I'm going to use them as an example because I used to be the resume expert for Project Management Institute. And so PMI estimates there are 16.5 million project managers in the world. So when I was their resume expert, it was one of many, I think there was like 54 or so professional associations I was the expert for when I had my private practice. But I could have made a full-time career out of just serving project managers because they were just always ready to invest and use my services. And that's a pretty good sized population to target. But you can also get too exclusive. So, you know, when I was preparing for this, I was like, let me see if I focused on, say, C-level executives in Boise, Idaho, because some people want to niche locally as well. So there's only 2,000 of those. That's a really small market that we would grow out of very quickly, because even though our services add immense value, it doesn't mean that everyone is going to invest. And if you're talking to only 2,000 people, let's say you get a 1% response, that's not going to supply you an adequate income going forward. And I know that's a very minute example I'm giving. I have a great example in my head, but it comes from a private client. And so I can't use it. And I was like, think of something. But you want to drill down, but you don't necessarily want to drill down so far that you don't leave yourself enough people to talk to and sustain a business. You don't want to be swimming upstream because of your niche. You want to say, hey, medical and pharmaceutical sales, there's only like one company out there specializing in that. And there's only, if I Google it on the internet, those sorts of things tell us, hey, I could speak to this audience because the chances they're hearing from that one other company or whatnot is pretty slim. So think about the clients you've had in a specialty that have led to you wanting to work more with them. Those are the kinds of people that make a great niche market. And then, so narrow it down and get granular. I mentioned customer avatar. So there's so much on the internet about your ideal customer avatar. I'm not going to spend but a few moments on this. But you literally want to think about that, especially if you're picking a population based on loving who you've worked with in the past. Think specifically about one person who stood out. Who are they? What is their approximate age, their sex, or how they, define themselves? Where does this person hang out? What's the average education level? professional affiliations, interests, challenges, marital status. You want to like literally see a person, not like I'm talking to everybody in this industry. Who's that average person? And if you've worked with somebody who represents them, all the better, because your goal is to see that specific person. And when you are writing anything, landing page copy, your newsletter, blog posts, social media, pitches to professional associations for speaking gigs, whatever you're doing, you want to write them to that ideal person, because even in a niche, there's still going to be different temperaments and personalities that you want to work with. And when you're thinking about a person, it can be so much easier to write and craft content than it is to just think, all right, any project manager. Okay, what am I going to say? So if you've got an ideal client in mind or one that you're already working with, let me know in the chat. I would love to hear who people favor if you're willing to share it. If I were going to specialize, well, actually, I do have an ideal client avatar, and she is a real CDI member and private client. But I can't tell you any more than that, just because I don't want you to think I'm biased. I just know I love people who are as energetic as I am, who believe that, yeah, there are stumbling blocks, but we can overcome them and achieve anything. All right, so now that you maybe have an idea who you want to talk to, you need to go out and start talking to them. So where should you start? So the beauty of niching is that you're no longer blindly waving your arms on the side of the road, hoping someone pays attention. You're no longer hoping some poor job seeker stumbles across your post and goes, oh, a career coach, a resume writer, a fill in the blank, just what I was looking for. You're talking specifically to someone. So hopefully, if you've thought of a population that you'd want to start with, because remember we're talking about starting with one, you might have a good idea of where they are. For instance, if I want to target project managers, I'm likely going to start by visiting the Project Management Institute website. That's the largest professional association for that audience. I don't know if it's national, but I know representing the US it is. So some of the things to think about is, especially with a professional association, is there a local chapter that you can pitch with a presentation? Local chapters of professional associations are always needing speakers. In fact, I can't remember, there's one in logistics that my husband just joined through his job in DOD. And they only meet quarterly because of a lack of speakers. And when they found out I, do what I do, they were like, would she like to be a future speaker? I mean, I don't even work with job seekers, but I'm more than glad to go talk to them. But just think, if you wanted to get in front of an entire population and one in your local market, and you're not afraid to get up and speak to people and spread the word about what you do, you could look for a local chapter. Conversely, isn't that the same thing that we hopefully recommend to job seekers? Like, I have helped when I did this for a living, I helped so many teachers become corporate trainers just by getting them to go to the local chapter meetings of the American Society for Training and Development. It was kind of a no-brainer, but they met people, in the trenches of the profession. We targeted their resume to it, made it so much easier for them to quickly transition than knocking on, blank doors. You can get to the people you're targeting by going where they are. So there's also online events that might want you to be a speaker that you can find through the professional association or other organizations that exist for that profession. And there's regional and national events. A quick example. So when I first started Career Directors International, I joined the American Society of Association Executives. And some of you have heard me tell this before. But I went just because I went to a meeting in Washington, D.C. So it meant I had to fly. And actually, one of my members and friends picked me up, and I stayed at her house, and she drove me in each day for the 2 or 3 day program. But anyway, I found out they had a career center, and I went up and talked to the person running it. And for the first few years I had CDI, I still had to keep my private practice going, to funnel money into building the startup, and convincing other resume writers I could help them become six-figure successes too. But anyway, by talking to one person, I ended up landing the contract to be the resume expert for all those associations. And by becoming a member of the association, and attending an event and seeing what they were like, I spoke at, I think, one national conference in Nashville, in a breakout session, and I did another training session at one of their creative idea events at Disney, one of the Disney properties. So just by becoming involved in an organization that you specialize in, and again, it's easier in a lot of cases if you come from that profession as your past career, it can just give you so many opportunities to just become known. And because almost everyone else who is a member or involved is a member because they do that, the fact that you serve them gives you this just unique positioning. All right, Janine says, transitioning military members is the population I serve. I look for big events that cater to the military, such as sea airspace. Big conferences typically have hiring events one of the days during the event. Perfect, exactly. I love things like job fairs and whatnot, and when they're to your niche audience, all the better. The only thing I ever had go wrong as I'm talking about association opportunities is, now I've done paid and free resume critiques, like 15-minute critique sessions at conferences, but one group, I won't say their name, but they flew me in to Vegas and put me up at the resort they had their national conference at, and I was in their I was on the floor of the conference. I can't think of the name of the big room. Not really vendor, but anyway, I was at their booth. They had a big booth with tables and whatnot set up, and I was there for people to get advice for resumes, career change, whatnot. And no one, I think in the 2.5 days I was there, only one person came up and talked to me, and it got back to me that everybody was there, but so were their employers, and nobody wanted to be seen talking to me and be thought that they were like going to be looking for a job. So just a heads up, doubtful that kind of opportunity will come up. But if anyone ever says, hey, we would love to, bring you in so you can, provide advice, suggest that they make it by appointment and that it's in a discreet location, because some people just freak out about that stuff when their bosses are there too. Okay, so I've mentioned this in my own story, but is there a career center for that association that you can reach out to, a magazine or newsletter that needs content? Like, I also wrote an article for the ASAE magazine. I was interviewed occasionally for their spotlights on what different people say on X topic. So there's all kinds of opportunities for you to be an expert, and you don't have to get caught up. Like, if you're not comfortable in being a speaker, you can attend, you can write, you can contribute information, you can build relationships. You can go into, does that association or group have, social media groups, private groups that private because they're not open to the public, that you can become a part of, and staying within their guidelines, share information and become known as the go-to person when somebody needs help. So that's another way without ever having to speak. Obviously, as you can see me here doing a live stream show, some of the fastest ways to grow are when you're willing to put yourself out there. And that can be part of being an entrepreneur. If you're not comfortable, think about doing something like joining Toastmasters, so you can build those skills. But the beauty of being self-employed is there's always a way, and it doesn't have to necessarily be through that major visibility of a show or a speech. Do a newsletter, write, just speak to your population. All right. So creating content for a market. One of the easiest things that you can do is just Google the subject and see what already exists for this audience around your services. But you're going to probably be surprised that very often there's like generic pieces where some company, a mill type was like, all right, let me just, write off really quickly a piece that appeals to this audience and that audience, and they're relatively generic and aren't good cornerstone content. A good cornerstone content piece for a blog goes pretty deep, and it can get picked up in the search results for those Q&As on Google and whatnot if you're really taking the time to speak to your population. So when you Google, you'll see what's already there, giving you an idea what's ranking, but probably more often than not, you're not going to find a lot. Like I was looking up something to do with marketing, resume writing earlier, and it was just pitch after pitch for expert marketing resumes, and not a lot of content talking to that population as any kind of a niche. So I love with newsletters and blog posts that you can get specialized without having to target your entire effort toward the market. Like when you're doing social media, it's kind of like, well, this is here. It's what appears that day on your feed, correct? But again, as we said earlier, with newsletters, you can have up to 5. You can have it between your personal profile and your business. So that you have even more opportunities. Not that I want you to juggle a lot. Like I keep coming back to, just pick one niche to start with. Don't make yourself crazy. And blog posts, you can decide and also LinkedIn articles, you can decide to write some specialized to some target audiences. And I would recommend it because that content lives on, especially if it's well written and you're using some at the basic SEO tools like Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T. If you have that built into, say, a WordPress platform, it can help you make sure that you're targeting for, keywords and putting in necessary information so that that content can be found, so that when your ideal audience searches for project manager, resume writer, or something like that. That sounds kind of lame, but the chances are really strong you're going to come up because you spent half of a day creating some good, solid, quality content for that population. And I'm not saying that you can build a whole niche just writing something and never coming back to it, but I'm saying that when people search, there's so little out there specifically speaking to a lot of the audiences that you probably serve as a service entrepreneur, that you can come up with those topics and write things. Of course, you can also advertise to your population, but then you get into competition and daily costs, and that's a whole nother subject. And when we looked at the top marketing strategies, we didn't find those as the ones that were paying off the most. Everybody needs career industry services, especially. So just figuring out how to talk to your population and going where they already are can be very effective. And then finally, I mentioned the Certified Resume Specialist credential earlier, and how Tammy Shoup was the only one in the world to have the one for hospitality and tourism. Career Directors International does provide these certifications to professional resume writers. And if you want to stand out to a niche, it can be a really great thing to have because, and right now I think there's 21 of them, ranging from IT to marketing, to education, engineering, Australia public service, difficult transitions. Did I say military transition? We do add them if someone introduces a subject that we feel is a big enough population and isn't already represented in another group. But anyway, we have seen people build cornerstones for their business on earning one of those, or I think we have a member who has like 7 of them because she wanted to give herself a lot of diverse opportunity of niches to stand out to. You, of course, have to have the skill. We're not going to just give it to you, but it can be a great way to help stand out. I mean, imagine being the only, I mean, we still have, I think, 4 categories that no one has ever earned. So imagine being the only resume writer in the world who is certified as a specialty to engineers. It could be you. All right, let me know what other ideas you might have for targeting a niche. So yes, Janine, we have the certified resume specialist. One of the 21 categories is military to civilian transition that you can become certified in. I think it's our second most popular after IT, but I still think that means we have like, I just looked at it because I was talking about it like a week ago online. I don't think if there's 7 worldwide, I'm surprised. So it is a very exclusive opportunity still. So that's really it. That's my take, my little skinny on how valuable it is to focus on a niche and how to get started and how to speak to them. So just let me recap. So speaking to a niche will actually get you more business than speaking to everyone because it magnetizes your ideal clients to go, oh, you're talking to me. And Janine says, how did I not know that existed? I'll have to get on that one. It's because there's so much going on in CDI, right? We're just dazzling you all the time. All right, number 2, the perfect niche is usually one you enjoy most and has been researched by you to ensure there isn't too much competition, but also that it's not too small, because a micro niche isn't going to get you far. It's a waste of your time and energy. 3, you don't have to be all in with a niche. This isn't an all or nothing scenario. It's okay to maintain your generalist safe space on one hand while going deep with a specific niche on the other. Eventually, the niche may outweigh the generalist, and you'll want to either add more deep niches or stop generalizing altogether. Your business, you get to choose. All right, number 4. Create your ideal client avatar before you begin marketing and develop all marketing efforts as if you're speaking directly to that individual. It will get you further faster. And finally, number 5, hang out where your niche hangs out already, because that's where you'll find the opportunities. Create niche content to attract your niche to you with platforms like LinkedIn newsletters, your blog, and by becoming involved with target industry associations. So niching will save you time, energy, and stress. You'll no longer be standing on the side of the road trying to get anyone to pay attention to you. When you position yourself as a niche expert, your niche will respond. So Janine, great advice as always. Thanks, Laura. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here with me. So next Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, is going to kick off my new interview series. We've got Success Secrets from Career Industry Pros. So while I'm lining up guests, and I have already got guests lined up for the 22nd, is it the 28th and the 6th of March already, and a whole list of people who I'm excited to have join me after that. I thought it would be really interesting to profile myself as the first guest, since I am patient zero on how all of this works. So next week, you'll get to hear my stories, what I wish I had known, done starting out, and what works to grow and flourish with life balance and a 6-figure income today. So in other words, I'm not just talking about what worked then, because I have this trajectory, this experience helping resume writers and career coaches and other entrepreneurs to build very lucrative 6-figure plus businesses. So in this series, I'm going to primarily be talking to self-employed resume writers and career coaches, but they'll be sharing tips and experience that can resonate with all online service entrepreneurs. So I'm super excited about it. And if you're a CDI member, check your inbox. I did do an ask for guests. There's a simple questionnaire to fill out. So I can see if you're somebody that we might be able to feature going forward. And this is a great way for me to meet you and understand your niche expertise in the industry as well. and a great way for you to be found by job seekers, because even though we're talking to career industry and other service entrepreneurs, we're going to be featuring you and tagging you on social media when we put you as our guest on our show. So I hope you're as excited about this as I am. If you're excited, give me a hashtag yes or something else similar in the chat. And otherwise, don't miss it. Starting next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel, Wednesdays at 3:45 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be holding those interviews that hopefully provide you with some great information about how you can mimic what others are doing to start up, build, grow, and sustain their success as a career professional. Okay, before we finish up here, I just want to talk about some ways, if you're not familiar with CDI, that you can go and take advantage of all the resources we have available. Our membership registration is currently closed, but we do have some amazing free resources on our website. If you go over to careerdirectors.com/free stuff, or just go to careerdirectors.com and click on free stuff in our simple navigation menu, you will see this free stuff page, and on it you have the opportunity to join our private community on Facebook. Every day we do daily prompts and opportunities for you to network, engage, gain support, feedback, and accountability. So it's a great place to be. I also share daily unique content. Unique in that I put it on social media new each day. And it's right there in the group for you to consume, interact with, learn from, whatnot. You're also going to find a series of deep dive lessons, resources, and tools on this page. These are so valuable. We actually have a testimonial on our free stuff page from a now CDI member who says he built a six-figure career industry practice based on CDI's free resources alone. So these are not fluff pieces. There's lots of great value there. Check it out. But we also know it can be a little overwhelming, all these resources. So take the quiz. There is a quiz on the page. What's your number one blocker to a six-figure income? Valuable even if you're new to the industry, because it's going to pinpoint what the number one is, and then it's going to curate all those free resources and provide you with guidance on where to get started. And if you're not a member, look, member registration is not open all the time. It is currently closed and we have a wait list. But a little birdie told me that if you take the quiz, you'll actually get an opportunity to join. It is a limited time opportunity, but it certainly is much better than waiting 90 days to 6 months to get an opportunity to come in and take advantage of all our powerful resources, community, networking, and support. Oh, and all the done for you stuff too. All right, when I post the recording, I'll share any supporting resources, but in the meantime, I also want to give a shout out to CDI Association members. We are back to our bonus prompts. I played around with some AI prompts this week, and I have one turned out to be, I tried all these different prompts that I created, and it turned out to be that simple was what got the job done. So I've got this unique AI prompt to use with, say, ChatGPT or the tool of your choice that will help you identify specifically where to find your target market online. So again, mark your calendars for next Wednesday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern, when I'll go live with myself as the guest, and then kick off the series of interviews. And until then, let's all fly higher and continue to make 2024 great. Thank you so much and have a great day.